Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today is auspicious day of the appearance of Lord Vamandeva. And on this occasion I will read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 18, beginning with text 5. Text 5 is on the screen. Shonayam Shravanat Vadasyam Muhurte Pichite Prabhu Sarvanakshatra Taradyas Shakrustat Dakshinam. Translation. On the day of Shravan Dvadasi, the 12th day of the bright fortnight in the month of Bhadra, when the moon came into the lunar mansion Shravan, at auspicious moment of Abhajit, the Lord appeared in this universe. Considering the Lord's appearance very auspicious, all the stars and planets from the sun to Saturn were munificently charitable. I will read about 15 verses about the appearance, but this verse has a short purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, an expert astrologer, explains the word nakshatra taradya. The word nakshatra means the stars. The word tatra in this context refers to the planets, and adya means the first one specifically mentioned. Among the planets, the first is Surya, the sun, not the moon. Therefore, according to the Vedic version, the modern astronomers' proposition that the moon is nearest to the earth should not be accepted. The chronological order in which people all over the world refer to the days of the week are Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And that corresponds to the Vedic order of the planets and thus circumstantiates the Vedic version. Apart from this, when the Lord appeared, the planets and stars became situated very auspiciously, according to astrological calculations, to celebrate the birth of the Lord. Text 6. Padasyam savitaristan Mathyandina kato nipa vichaya namasa bhakta yasyanjana vidunare. O King, when the Lord appeared on Dvadasi, the 12th day of the moon, the sun was at the meridian, and as every learned scholar knows, this Dvadasi is called Vijay. So that's the day of today, Vijaya Dvadasi. Text 7. Sankadundu bayo nedur mridanka pavana naka Chitravatitrato yanam nyagugastamalo bhavat. Conch shells, kettle drums, pavanas, and nakanas vibrated in concert. The sound of these and various other instruments was tumultuous. That Pitra Shapsara Son Rityan Gandharva Pravarachaku Tustavo Manayo Deva Manava Pitaro Vyayam. Being very pleased, the celestial dancing girls Apsaras danced in jubilation. The best of the Gandharvas sang songs, and the great sages, demigods, Manas, Pittas, and fire gods offered prayers to satisfy the Lord. Siddhavidyadara Gana Sakim Pusakinara Charanaya Ksaraksam Separna Bhutsharotama. Kayanto tripasam santo Rityanto vibudam danaga Aditya ashama padam kusamaya samavakyam. The Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Kimpurushas, Kinaras, Sharanas, Yaksas, Rakshasas, Suparnas, the best of the serpents and the follower of demigods, all showered flowers on Aditi's residence, covering the entire house, while glorifying and praising the Lord and dancing. Testvatitistam nitya garbam sambhavam param pumsam mudamapiv apivishmita itadyam yayoga mayaya Prajapati sahajaiti vishmita. When Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead who had appeared from her own womb, having accepted the transcendental body by his own spiritual potency, she was struck with wonder and was very happy. Upon seeing the child, Prajapati Kashyapa exclaimed, Jai, Jai, in great happiness and wonder. Yat yat vaborbati vibhushanat sasantyuder avyakta sityaktam adarayatari babhuvataneva savamano vatu sampasyato divyakatiryatanatan. The Lord appeared in his original form with ornaments and weapons in his hands. Although this ever-existing form is not visible in the material world, he nonetheless appeared in this form. Then in the presence of his father and mother, he assumed the form of Vaman, a Brahman dwarf, a brahmachari, just like a theatrical actor. Purport. The word nati is significant. An actor changes dress to play different parts, but is always the same man. Similarly, as described in the Brahma Samhita, the Lord assumes many thousands and millions of forms. Advaitam, Asutam, Anartam, Anantarupatyam, Purana, Purusham. He is always present with innumerable incarnations. Nonetheless, although he appears in various incarnations, they are not different from one another. He is the same person with the same potency, the same eternity, and the same spiritual existence, but he can simultaneously assume various forms. When Vamandeva appeared from the womb of his mother, he appeared in the form of Narayan, with 4 arms, equipped with the necessary symbolic weapons, and then immediately transformed himself into a brahmachari, Vatu. This means that his body is not material. One who thinks that the Supreme Lord assumes a material body is not intelligence. He has to learn about the Lord's position, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Samhe Divyam Evam Yo Viti Tattvata. One has to understand the transcendental appearance of the Lord in his original transcendental body, Saksitananda Vigra. Tatvadam Vaman Tristvam Modananam Hasayu Karmani Karyam Mastu Puraskritya Prajapatim. When the great sages saw the Lord as a brahmachari dwarf Vaman, they were certainly very pleased. They placed before them Kashyapa Muni, the Prajapati, and performed all the ritualistic ceremonies such as the birthday ceremony. But according to Vedic civilization, when a child is born in the family of a Brahmin, the birthday ceremony, known as Jata Karma, is first performed. And then other ceremonies are hardly performed. But when this Vamana Rupa, in the form of a Vatu or a Brahmachari, its sacred thread ceremony was also performed immediately. Tasyopanyamanasya savitrim savitavavit Praspatir Brahmasutram Nikalam Kashapo Dadat. As the sacred thread ceremony of Vamandeva, at the sacred thread ceremony of Vamandeva, the sun personally uttered the Gayatri mantra. Praspa offered the sacred thread. Kashyapa offered a straw belt. So, offerings are further made, the Lord appeared as Vamandeva, Omajana Timandasya Jansana Slakya, Sexual Militam Yena Tasmai Si Grave Nama, Ichitayana Vistam Staptam Yena Butale Swamrapkadam Emdadati Stapalantikam. Vandeham Siho Shiyuda Padakamam Sigam Vaishnavam Sa Shiyopam Sarisatam Sakanaragnatam Tam Tam Sativam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parjana Saitam Sikrishna Staina Devam Sirada Krishna Padam Sakanalita Sivishakam Vitam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhudina Banvajyatpate Gopesha Kopka Kantara Kantam Mustati Tapta Kansna Gaurankiradi Vrindavaneshri Vishabhana Siddhadevi Panamama Haripriye Pancha Kalpta Visha Kripa Sindhvi Visha Patam Pavanvyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Di Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namni. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini. Nirvishesha Srinyavadi Paskachani Desatani. And Prabhupada Ki. In the Parafana Bhagavad Gita, we learn Paritranaya Sadnam Vinasaya Sudushkaram Samstatam Sampanastaya Sambhavani Yuge Yuge. The Lord appears to protect his devotees, to kill the demons, and he does that age after age. So the Lord appeared because of the appeal of especially Mother Diti. Because what happened before? What was how did the Lord decide to appear? It starts with Bala Maharaj and the demons. Bali Maharaj is a very interesting figure. He's the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. He's been educated as a devotee. Actually, it's a pure devotee in the garb of a demon. But he wants also to satisfy the demons, because he's their well-wisher. And what do demons want? They want sense gratification. That's their life. So therefore, they are the so-called spiritual master, Shukracharya. Shukracharya was specialized in karma kanda. Karma kanda means how to enjoy in this world and enjoy more and more and more. Enjoy in a pious way. So that is what the demons wanted. Shukracharya was their ideal so-called spiritual master. And factually, their goal was to conquer heaven. And by the strength of Shukracharya, because the demons, they were worshipping Shukracharya, their guru. Then on the other side, Indra, one day he was receiving puja with his wife Uma, I think. They were sitting on the throne, and while receiving puja, his spiritual master Brihaspati appeared, but he did not offer respect to the spiritual master. He continued receiving puja. And then his spiritual master disappeared. As Guru Avakya, an offense to the spiritual master. So by that, the demons became stronger on the strength of Sukracharya, not on their own strength, but by the strength of Sukracharya, they could attain the heavenly planets and conquer it. But they could not stay there. Therefore, Sukracharya said to Bali Maharaj, you have to do 100 Asvamedha sacrifices. 100 Asvamedha sacrifices, because that is what one must do to become qualified to become Indra. So he was on the way of doing that, but then, of course, when they conquered the heavenly planets, all the devas fled and they became invisible. And Diti, who is the mother of all the demigods, became very worried. And her husband, who was a mystic yogi, when he came back from mystic meditation and he entered his house, then he saw that Diti was not, that she was troubled by something. And Kashyapa, when he said, well, I see you are troubled, what did you not receive a guest properly? Or did you not daily offer the oblations to the fire, which is a duty of the householder in the Vedic system? That did you neglect the religious principles? That, but Iti replied, no, I did all these things, but I feel very unhappy because all my sons and children, they have been thrown out of the heavenly planets. So you are a very powerful personality. So please do something. How can they regain these heavenly planets? Give me a blessing. That, of course, Kashyapa Muni had in the past experience with his wives approaching him, especially Aditi, that she approached him with to get a blessing from him to kill Indra. That was not the right motive. So he was careful. So he told Diti, okay, that if you want to please the Lord, then you have to do the following. And he gave so many instructions, and these are all the instructions how to live as a devotee and worship the Lord. The purpose of devotional service he was explaining. And I said, I heard this process from Brahma, so this is authorized. I give you the same. You should take a bath in the morning and do puja. You should only eat once a day. And you can only eat after you have fed the Brahmins. And so many instructions, but it's a covered, it's just all the instructions is a covered way to engage someone in devotional service. But we see that after she did all these things, and performed these vows, the Lord appeared, first in his four-armed form, and then as Vamandeva. So Vamandeva will have two main purposes. That he will give the heavenly planets back to the demigods, and he will put the demons in the lower planetary systems where they belong. And he will bless Bali Maharaj, who will surrender to him. So then after that we see that Vamandeva appeared on a very auspicious day, the day of today, but at that time all the planets were in a very good position. Interesting is that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was an expert astrologer. And that's interesting. We know an astrologer predicted also the life of Prabhupada, how he will go overseas and how we will establish more than 108 temples all over the world. So this about astrology, Srila Prabhupada said, yes, it's good. If you know it's going to rain, take an umbrella. If you know your karma that will come, then you can prepare yourself for that. So that's good knowledge. And it seems Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is the Mitri Acharya, was also a perfect astrologer. And Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was also an astrologer and so on. But it was a very auspicious moment. And astrologers can predict the appearance of the Lord based on this on this situation of the planets. That when it's suitable for the Lord to appear. So today is this Dvadasi, Vijay, and all the demigods were very happy. They were dancing, showing flowers, offering prayers, and the sun god came for the Brahman initiation, and he uttered himself the Gayatri mantra, and Lord Brahma offered him the sacred thread that, and then, of course, but Bali Maharaj in India was performing this as Asvamedha Jahyas to remain being the king of heaven. He wanted to become the king of heaven. And that's interesting. He's a pure devotee, but he wanted to become the king of heaven for the sake of the demons, to get them that interesting. He was also good king of the demons. He wanted to do his service nicely, but in his heart he was a pure devotee, and he was worshipping the Lord in his heart. So then he appeared, Lord Vamandeva, at the sacrifice, but just at a particular moment of the sacrifice, that because at a certain moment in the procedure in the sacrifice, there's a time to give charity. And he just appeared at that moment to give charity. And so that when Bali Maharaj saw him, that he welcomed him and worshipped him. It was very attractive to him. He knew he was the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So we see here this because there is a big charya going on, a big sacrifice area has been built and so on. They are sitting there with all these priests, followers of Brihu, the Brihu dynasty, and they were performing this sacrifice and there Vamandeva appears, because Ostukracharya is sitting there, and Vamandeva is holding a rod, an umbrella, water pot full of water, and he entered this area of the Asvamedha sacrifice. And he's brilliant as the sun. Effulgence of the effulgence of everyone else there is diminishing. That Bali Maharaj offered him prayers. That he placed his head on his head, the water that has washed the lotus feet, was washing his feet. That's how a sadhu is expected. It's received. The holy man is received in the Vedic tradition. That Pali Maharaj is praising him. You arrived at the sacrifice at the right time, and now we are about to give charity. So without your presence, it would not be complete. And then he said to Vamandeva, Pali Maharaj said to Vamandeva, yes, you come at a moment of charity, so you have come to ask something. So you can ask for me what you want. And so Bali Maharaj was speaking in a pleasing way. But then, yes, that he asked him, yeah, you can ask me what you want. And then Vamandeva said, I want only 3 paces of land. And then, of course, Bali Maharaj said, I think you are not very intelligent. I am the ruler of this universe, practically. I can give you everything you want. I can give you a planet, whatever you want. Why are you asking for so little? It seems you are not very intelligent. Yeah. But Vamandeva said, I do not want anything which is unnecessary. I learned to take charity to one's needs. And as one does that, one does not become entangled in sinful activities. So it's a very nice instruction. In our lives, we should take our quota. And not desiring more. The Bali Maharaj said, yes, your instructions are good, he said to Vamandeva, but your intelligence is still insufficient. You don't know your self-interest. I can give you an entire island. So why are you asking only 3 paces of land? So you can ask for something more if you want. But Vamandeva said, O dear king, even the entirety of whatever there may be within the 3 worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled. If I were not satisfied with 3 paces of land, then surely I would not be satisfied even with possessing one of the 7 islands consisting of 9 Bprs. Even if I possessed 1 island, I would hope to get more. So one should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny, for discontent can never bring happiness. That's an important instruction for us. If we live in that way, we will get internal peace. And peace and happiness. Because Vamandev's material existence causes discontent to fulfilling one's lusty desires. And once one wants more and more money, a Brahman is satisfied with whatever providentially obtained is, and such a person is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power. But the dissatisfied Brahman decreases its potency. Therefore, king, the best of those who give charity, I only ask 3 pieces of land. So Bali Maharaj said, yeah, he smiled and said, okay, take whatever you want. That of course, then we know that Vamandeva, with 1 pace, he took the earth. With his second step, he took the whole universe and made a hole in the universe to which the Ganga was coming. It's described in the Bhagavatam, because Brahma was on Satyaloka, in his own planet. And suddenly, because it's close to Marloka and the Tapaloka, this higher planetary systems where great sages stay. And suddenly they see this big foot in the air. They come, and Brahma arranged immediately for puja, and he started to do puja for the feet of Vamandeva. And then Jambudvam, Jambavan, you know, Jambavan, who appeared in Krishna Lila, Jambavan, and the story of the Shamantaka jewel, and then he fights with Krishna, and then afterwards he gives his daughter to Krishna, Jambavati, and she becomes one of the main queens in Dwarka. This Jambavan was also present during the Vamandeva Lila, but he was very strong. Because this is far before, ages before the Ram Lila. Ram Lila is 2 million years ago, but that's much more older. And in the Ram Lila, there, because when Angada and his monkeys comes to the south of India, and they come to know of the brother of Jatayu, that Ravan kidnapped Sita and flew to Lanka. So there was a meeting with the monkeys, and they say, who will jump to Lanka? It's 100 yojanas. And some monkeys said, yeah, I can maybe jump 40. Another said, I can maybe 50. I can make, then another said, I can make 60. But then Jambavan spoke. Jambavan said, I'm now very old. And and I've no false enemies. I can only jump 80 yojanas, nearly there. But in the time of Vamandeva, he was the messenger, because at that time there was no internet and all these connections. So he was a messenger, and he was declaring the appearance of Vamandeva, and he was running all over the universe while declaring what happened, and he was encircling the whole universe 3 times at that time. So powerful. So you can imagine what happened at that time. Lord Brahma, Jambavan, and that. Of course, we know then that because before giving, before asking or giving permission to Vamandeva to take his 3 steps, we know that Shukracharya said to Bali Maharaj, don't give him anything. He's Vishnu. If you give him in charity, then you will lose everything. But Bali Maharaj was a follower of Dharma, and he said, this is my duty. I've promised this. In my dynasty, no king has ever refused charity to a Brahmin. And I must be truthful to my promise. I've promised this. And Shukracharya said, but if a promise, if the result of one is going to be harmful for you, you don't have to execute that. So, and if you don't follow my instruction, you will lose everything. You will go to hell. And that is what will happen. So after his second step, Vamandeva said, you did not fulfill your promise. Where should I put my 3rd step? That just Bali Maharaj offered his head of his 3rd step, but still he was arrested by Vamandeva with the ropes of Asuki. And after his arrest, so many demigods came to pray, please, please, release him. Brahma prayed and said to Vamandeva, he surrendered to you, and he suffered already sufficiently. Please be merciful to him and release him. So they were praying for his release. But finally, Vamandeva, because when they arrested Bali Maharaj, when he was arrested, then some soldiers of Bali Maharaj and Kshatriyas of his army, they attacked Lord Vamandeva, although he was instructing them not to do, and they were all killed by Vamandeva. And then, of course, Lord Vamandeva said to Bali Maharaj, I want you to go to the hellish planets. But he fulfilled the desires of Bali Maharaj in different ways. He still fulfilled his desires. He said, you have to go to the planet Sutal, and this is a planet more opulent on the heavenly planets. So he gets something better. And he said, you want to become Indra? In your next life, in the next Manvantar, you will be the Indra. He fulfilled his desire. And he said, I will become your Jyotidar, your doorkeeper at Sutal. And he said, you rule the demons, and if they do not respect you, don't worry, I will kill them. So this was the position of Bali Maharaj. And then after the sacrifice was over, Bali Maharaj was released. Then, because interesting is that Vamandeva, his purpose was to take everything away from Bali Maharaj, the heavenly planets and so on. But Shukracharya was still a Brahmin. He could not go against the Brahmins. Therefore, he had to wait. He had to wait until Shukracharya cursed Bali Maharaj and said to him, if you do not follow my instruction, you will go to hell. So I curse you that you lose everything. So he agreed. Then Vamandeva could do it, because the Supreme Lord does not go against the will of the Brahman. Still, he was a Karmakanda Brahman, but he was a Brahman. But after Bali Maharaj was released, that Vamandeva had a talk with Shukracharya, and he said, what is the fault in your disciple? He wanted to surrender everything to me. And finally, Shukracharya had to admit there is no fault in Bali Maharaj. But of course, Shukracharya was thinking, if Bali Maharaj gives everything to Vamandeva, how will I live? Because I'm dependent, completely dependent on him. So that was Shukracharya. Of course, Bali Maharaj rejected his instruction. Why? Because he instructed him against the principles of devotional service. Therefore, it was his right to reject him. So he deviated from the instructions of devotional service. Therefore, he was not a bona fide spiritual master. So from these pastimes, we can learn a lot of things. I want to summarize a few points that I always remember from this pastime. First, be careful with what you desire in devotional service. Although it is said in the Bhagavatam, Akama Sarvakama Mokshakama Udarati Tivena Bhaktiyoida Chaita Prushamparam. Whether you have no material desires, or if you have full material desires, or you desire liberation, with great power perform devotional service. So if you have material desires, you will become purified. But once you are purified, or even if you are not purified, don't do devotional service to fulfill personal desires. By the devotional service, they will go away. But if you maintain desires, then they will be fulfilled in devotional service, and you'll delay your going back to Godhead. So, because we here, we are learning here that Bali Maharaj in the next Manvantar will become Indra. That's just a result of his desire. And that's something important. The second thing we learn is we should accept only a bona fide spiritual master and take instructions from them. Those who instruct us in the devotional service of the Lord in the line of disciplic succession. Don't take instructions outside of that. A third point we learn is, despite all oddities and difficulties in our life, surrender. And finally, Krishna will take care of you. That surrender is important. So these are important lessons we learn. We learn also lessons, of course, of Diti, performing devotional service, and the Lord took care of all our needs, and fulfilled our desires, and re-established the demigods, gave their home back, and now to end, because I want to refer to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada many times was in the mood of Vamandeva, taking everything away. So there was a businessman in India, this is in the Prabhupada Deland. Then he comes to Prabhupada and says, I have many factories, and he was giving the cities where he had factories, and he said, but it's so difficult. He said, I'm always full of anxiety. And Prabhupada said, no problem. You give all your factories to me, and we will relieve you of your anxiety. But then the man became hesitant. But Prabhupada said to his secretary, you take his address. So this is the point. He said to the man, give me everything. Like Vamandeva, he wanted everything to surrender. Bali Maharaj, to surrender him to the universe, he wanted everything the man had, and that would relieve him from his sorrows. And then, because this is material entanglement. So this was Prabhupada in the form of Vamandeva. Also Tamal Krishna Maharaj, this was in New York. He was organizing, I think, the first Ratha Yatra in New York. And he said to the police when he applied for it, it will be a little thing and so on. 10, 20 people, not a big thing. And we will go only a few streets. But when the parade was there, it was a big guard. And there were hundreds of devotees, so it became a very big thing. But he said, yes, it's just a little thing, but then it became like Vamandeva, only 3 steps, but then it became a big thing. So sometimes devotees are in the mood of Vamandeva. So today is an auspicious day, the day of surrender to this pastime of Bali Maharaj, surrender. And I have here this beautiful book here, Bprs with the instructions of Bhakti Maharaj. And he has a whole section on surrender. And I want to finish with reading some of his instructions about surrender. That what exactly do we mean by surrendering unto God? Bhakti Maharaj. Surrender means recognizing Krishna's greatness and taking shelter of him with full conviction that there is a person who can take care of me in all respects. When we surrender in this way to Krishna, then he gives us all protection, which we then see in reality for ourselves. This increases our faith, which is the element of our spiritual progress. This is not mental, it is reciprocation. The moment we start rendering service, see how Krishna is reciprocating, which increases our faith, and that in turn leads to spiritual advancement. So, what is the reason behind the creation of this material world? This material nature has been created in order to rectify the perverted souls. We are all criminals who have defied the laws of God. Because of this perversion of ours, we are in this prison of the material world. Ultimate rectification that this prison offers is surrender unto God, Krishna. As soon as we surrender ourselves unto him and accept his authority, we become free from the bondage of material world. And then I have another quote here, because Vamandeva spoke about that if you are more asking than you need, you get in trouble. And this is a question to Bhakti Maharaj. How can we ascertain our quota if we are not free from greed? Bhakti Maharaj, first of all, you need to know what is your need. And for this, you need to surrender to a devotee and read Srila Prabhupada's books. On our own, you will never be able to find your defects. When you read Srila Prabhupada's books, you will know how Krishna is taking care of all of us in such a wonderful way. You should think that if you have not starved for so many years, you will why you will starve in the future. This is how we get rid of our greed. Why should we worry about our upkeep? We should just surrender to Krishna and serve him. Unless we get rid of our greed, the bondage of the illusory nature will continue. These are the words of Bhakti Maharaj to end. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Maharaj, for such a nice class. It was very sweet. I really appreciate it. And just the idea of constantly understanding what your surrender is and how you need to really have faith. Yes, that last point, especially where Gurudev mentioned you've never starved, so why would you worry about starving now?
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I sometimes forget. I constantly have to remind myself, Krishna is there for me. He's always there. So that's a nice reminder. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Mother Indira. Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, it was very nice class. Maharaj, if you can give more information about the book, that I couldn't see properly. The book you were showing, Maharaj.
Yeah, this book is called Questions and Answers by Prashnena Bhakti Charusram, you can see it. That, so this, I got this book, they gave it to me as a gift in Ujjain. And it's very nice, it's all questions and answers, and it's put on in different sections with titles, themes that and I was reading it because I am writing an offering to Guru Maharaj. I still do it every year, an offering. And on the 17th of September, I will be in Rotterdam and speak about Vyatsa Puja, about Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj's instruction. Therefore, I was studying it, and it reminds us really of his instructions, because Guru Maharaj is still alive to his instructions. We have to keep it alive. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you. So, Maharaj, a couple of technical questions. Maharaj, Vamandev, so he born on today's day, but is he born like a child, or he born like the same age, and he directly went to Bali Maharaj?
He appeared before Diti in his full-fledged four-arm Vaikuntha form. Then after that, he transformed him into Vamandeva, Brahmachari, a child. Yeah. So that is what happened. That at the end of our vow, Diti, the Lord was pleased and appeared. Of course, we know that that in the Vasudev and Devaki were in previous life Sudapa, Prishni, who did austerities, and they get the vow. They got a blessing of the Lord who appeared 3 times from their womb. So this is one time as Vamandeva, and then the last time was Krishna. This one more, I forgot. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Also, Maharaj, wanted some input from you. Is many times the non-believers of Vishnu, they put this point that Vamandev actually cheated. He used cheating to take away everything from Bali Maharaj. So how can we do a logical argument to them?
Well, to answer that question, that Lord Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Nami Bhaktya Pranashati, my devotee will never perish, please. Please, you tell this to everyone, that you spread it. But then we have Baldefudya Bhushan writes lines between the Bhagavad Gita, verses, add verses, and then in these verses, Arjuna replied, why you are asking me to spread this, that your devotee never will perish? Why are you not doing it yourself? Why are you asking me? And Krishna says, I'm from Mathura, and those from Mathura are cheaters. But they will never cheat those whom they love. So that's the point. Everyone is cheated in this material world by the material energy. if you become a devotee of Krishna, then you will see the reality. You come out of it. So, of course, that it cheated, yes, but it's from one point of view, because he asked for 3 pieces of land that, according to his steps, he did not reveal the length of his steps. But it's not cheating. It took 2 steps. That it's just the problem is that those who say that they don't know the potency of God. That they think him an ordinary person. He did not cheat. He had his potency, but they don't know the potency. So how can they say he's cheating? He did not cheat. He took 2 steps, and he honestly asked, where can I put my 3rd step? And then, of course, Bali Maharaj said, I put it on my head, the 3rd step. But then in the prayers of the demigods, Brahma is going to speak and to speak to get him released. Then Vindhyavali, his wife, comes between. She was so enthusiastic and she spoke before. She cut off Brahma and she spoke first. And he said, and she said to Vamandeva, forgive my husband, he's ignorant. He thinks his body belongs to him. That factory, everything belongs to you. And that is also where this atheist who criticized Vamandeva was a cheater, where they are failing to understand that everything belongs to Krishna. So because everything belongs to him, he has the right to take everything that belongs to him. There is no cheating in that. Krishna steals butter. It's immoral, they say. But everything belongs to him. He cannot steal everything. So it's not understanding who God is. And that's the real problem. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. That was very nice. Thank you.
Okay. Good.
Yes, very nice.
I wish you all happy appearance day of Lord Vamandeva, and I look forward to serve you next week again. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, happy Vamandeva.
Jai Vamandeva ki jai.
Yeah, very good.
Jai Bo.